So, gonna do another rule changes in football in England video. If you've seen the intro, you'll know this series is just about little or slightly larger rule changes of football in England, both the Premier League and the Championship and all the professional leagues normally. Things that I believe need to be changed or updated to help the game keep improving and keep moving into the 21st century where we are now, because nobody wants to see it get left behind. So today we are going to be talking about my British players plan. Now please take note that I said British, not English. I am an Englishman. I support the English national team. I support an English football team. If you really want to know, it's Plymouth Argyle. They play in League 2 at the moment, so let's not talk about that for too often. But yeah, anyway, in recent years, and with more TV money coming into the Premier League, we've seen clubs not favour buying English players because all clubs want success, obviously, and the best way to get relatively cheap players that are very good is to look abroad, because English players cost so much more than foreign players. I don't know why, it's just how it is. I think clubs just don't want to sell their homegrown players right now. Obviously, to combat that, the FA excuse me, or the Premier League brought in their homegrown players rule, which meant that at the start of every season a team has to pick a squad of 25 players over the age of 22 or 23, including 17 of which have been in this country for at least 3 years. They're the homegrown players rule. I don't think this is enough, however, because that's not going to help develop English players or British players in the Premier League, because clubs are just going to buy young foreigners, and then by the time they're old enough to be first team regulars, they would already have been in the country for 3 years and so would qualify for the homegrown players rule. So I don't think it's quite going to work. What I propose is that the Premier League puts a rule down, and it's going to be a progressive rule up until the point when you've hit the top maximum of it, where they say year 1 you must have at least 3 British or Republic of Ireland players in your first team, or 6 in the starting 18, which means they have to have either 3 in the starting 11 or 6 in the starting 18, yeah? Now, this means that teams are going to have to play British or Republic of Ireland players, because I think you can't just say English. That's not really fair, especially when you have Welsh clubs in the Premier League now, because you can't say to Welsh clubs, you have to have English players in your team. That's not right. They probably have them anyway, but it's definitely not right. So if you say British and Republic of Ireland or British Isles players, that means all clubs have to have that amount in their starting 11, and if they don't meet it, it's £1 million fine per match or something. Something incredibly harsh to make teams want to do it, because then if a team doesn't do it for any match in a season, they get fined £38 million because it's 38 games. But I said it's a progressive rule, which means that's year 1. Year 2, the FA says, right, we're upping it now. You don't have to have 4 British Isles players in your starting 11 or 7 in the starting 18. Now, the reason I make it starting 11 or starting 18 is because if they haven't got players up to the right ability to play in their first team yet, when I say 7 in the starting 18, they can fill their whole bench of 7 up with British or Republic of Ireland players, so that then they don't have to play first team. They can develop them in the second half, in the last 10 minutes of games. Anyway, it doesn't end there. Year 3, they say 5 players in the starting 11 and 8 in the starting 18. So then you have to have at least 1 British or Republic of Ireland player in the starting 11 now, because of the numbers. And then obviously the year after that, which will be the last year for me, or maybe the second to last year, you have to have 6 British or Irish players in the starting 11, which is over half, and 9 or 10 in the starting 18. I think eventually it'll be 10, because then you have to have at least 3 British or Irish players in the first 11. Now, this would just help get British and Irish players, you know, in tune to top flight football in the UK, because the Premier League is the only real world-class league that the British Isles has. That's no offence to the SPL or the Irish League or the Welsh League. You just don't see them on telly all the time, and we're constantly hearing about people all around the world in different countries. We all watch the Premier League, it's what we all watch, it's the best league in the world. So if we can get more British players coming up and playing in those top class leagues, when we get to an international scene, all of the home nations teams will be more used to playing on a big stage, will be more used to having to step up when they have to. And I just think it means that all of the home nations teams will improve and will be able to go further in tournaments, because we'll be developing them at home. The problems I can see is pretty much the same as the manager transfer market video I've put up, is how are you going to get around the laws of saying you have to do this? I'm not quite sure how they would do it, but I'm sure in the past at least, countries like Spain and Italy, maybe even Germany, have had rules where you have to play this number of our country's players, and they've managed to do it and make it not necessarily work, but they've managed to have it there. So it must be possible, I'm sure. That would be my plan, my idea. As always I say in these videos, please subscribe, please press like. Also please leave a comment below on what rule changes you think need to be made or updated. Just leave a comment, I might do a video on it if I agree, if I disagree, whatever. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching guys.